Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're well. It's Alessio, and joining me today is my good friend and fellow trader Charlie Burton. In this video, we're going to quickly just cover the chart of Bitcoin and gold very quickly here. And what about how you doing, Charlie? You well? Apparently, we're going to have a storm or something. Is that
Well,
right?
it's funny actually. Yeah, we've got these storms coming across the UK as we speak, I think. And I'm going water skiing over the weekend, which is probably not the nicest of weather to be water skiing, but I just picked the wrong weekend to be out at the lake. So that'll be yeah, that should be fun. Gonna get wet anyway.
Great. So let's talk briefly about Bitcoin. We've seen Bitcoin actually come up to the level we mentioned last week. I remember most of you probably remember the video we made with Charlie last week. Charlie was talking about that we might come. In fact, both of us actually said that we might have Bitcoin coming up to test that trend line, which we did. We tested that trend line of that kind of triangular formation, pennant formation, whatever this happens to be. And so we've hit that level. And okay, here's a question for you, Charlie. If we break through, I mean, Bitcoin has come up to that trend line level, that resistance there, about the 12,000. I think was it 12,000? I can't remember what level that is. But bottom line is, if Bitcoin breaks through that trend line, that resistance, is that something for you to be bullish about? Would you be bullish on that, or would you think, well, look, if we might, because we've seen this happen so many times, breaks through the trend line, falls back like a false breakout situation. But what would be your point of view? Put it this way: my first question to you is, if we see a break of that trend line, would you be looking to get bullish, or if not, what needs to happen for you on the chart of Bitcoin for you to become more bullish, or more, so shall we say, for you to become long on Bitcoin?
I'm pleased that the Bitcoin has right at that trend line. But we were talking recently about Bitcoin. The price highs were around about 13,000, and my preference would be that Bitcoin, even if it breaks that trend line on there, that it actually, like you've just said, may break the trend line, but then fizzle off a little bit. Maybe it can go up and challenge 13,000. But overall, I'd quite like to see Bitcoin stay in a range for a while. It's had a big up run this year from where it was when it made
Yeah.
those lows late last year. So I would like it to consolidate. It actually bodes much better for its future if it can hold up
Yeah.
here in this sort of range. And that range can be quite wide. You know, we've talked recently about, back down at sort of 8,000 or so. So that range can be quite wide. But if Bitcoin can stay in a range, that actually is much healthier for its longer term outlook. So if it just broke this trend line and shot up to 13,000, broke that, I'd probably be a little bit more concerned as to whether it's going to then have a sharper decline. So for me, I would rather it stay in an overall
Yeah.
range for maybe several months. But I think for the long-term future, that would be more bullish. But generally speaking, within all of that, would I buy a trend line break? No. But would I buy a decent retracement back into that 8 to 9,000 range? Yes.
I agree. I mean, I still have the probability of Bitcoin coming back down to test that support, and indeed testing the weekly averages, weekly 21 or the daily 100. The probability is still there, and I think at the moment we're looking at consolidation, and I still think that any rallies at the moment into resistance are more likely to be met with selling pressure. Perhaps short sellers might take control at those levels. We'll see. But at the moment, I still think we're in consolidation mode, and there's plenty of opportunity for shorts to push this back down, perhaps. By the way, I should just also mention that it's funny. Anytime we talk about a correction in the price of Bitcoin, people say, "Oh, you're bearish." This is ridiculous. I mean, I don't know who thinks that I think there's some people out there who think for some reason that Bitcoin or the stock market or gold has to always continuously move in a straight line up, as though that ever happens. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who are just not very informed about price movements on the charts, or indeed just generally. I would say, look, for those people who think that price always has to go up in a straight line without any correction, do yourself a favor and look into reversion to the mean. Reversion to the mean simply means that statistically, any market, any price, whatever it is, Bitcoin, stock market, they don't move in a straight line. They move up, they have a correction, they have a reversion back to the mean, reversion back to the averages. That doesn't mean you're bearish. It just means you're expecting something statistically is going to happen. Charlie?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we've talked previously about this. It's almost like something's on sale. So we quite often, if you're a trend-based trader, especially if you're identifying a bigger trend, then quite often you want to, within that trend, you're looking for pullbacks as an opportunity to then buy. There's an old phrase, you fade the short term in favor of the long term. So what we mean by that is in the short term, if the price is coming down, then we're looking to do the opposite of that and buy into that once it's done that retracement, as you said, reversion to the mean, in the favor of the longer term trend. And the longer term trend, as you and I both agree on Bitcoin at the moment, is up. So until proven otherwise, I would want to be a buyer in that market. And like you also said, though, we're just looking for it to pull back in order to get us in. That's what we're looking for. It's like you say, it's not being bearish, it's actually being bullish, but we're just having to wait for the right opportunity.
Yeah, just one condition that I still think that I'm not totally convinced 100% that this is a bull market rally. I still think there is a slight probability this might actually be a bear market rally, and I've explained this in previous videos. There's still about a 50 or maybe just around a 50% probability that this may be a bear market or B wave rally, especially if Bitcoin falls below the 21 weekly average. If it falls below the 21 weekly and stays below it, it's probably not a. It's probably more likely to be either a bear market rally or the wild card scenario that I mentioned previously. But for the moment, I agree. The bias at the moment is slightly towards the bull market scenario. But again, as Charlie was saying here, guys, the fact is, in any bull market, just look at the 2015 bull market rally. Didn't go up in a straight line. Bitcoin went up, eventually had a pullback to the 21 weekly average or the 100 daily moving average. Those pullbacks happen in every uptrend. Every uptrend has a pullback, has a reversion to the mean. And there are some people who are not very informed on social media who think these pullbacks are somehow bearish. You know, like if somebody expects a pullback, that you're being bearish. How ridiculous is that statement when you think about that? And I would suggest that those people should do themselves a favor and maybe educate themselves a bit more about market analysis or chart analysis. All right, so Charlie, we talked about Bitcoin. We're going to talk more about Bitcoin and cryptos in the member video. We'll talk about Litecoin, XRP in a few moments in the member video. Gold, very quickly. Just want to ask you about gold. I mean, obviously, it's gone up, hit 1,500 just recently. I was quite surprised in one of your videos. You said that you took profits, you closed your position somewhere in the 1450 range. Am I right? I'm not sure. What was the price you got
About
out?
14.
Can I ask you what was the reason behind it? 1430. What was the reason you got out, and what made you want to get out there? And what level are you? I guess my question is: are you I presume you're expecting some kind of pullback to support?
Yeah. So I mean, look. The bottom line was I got in at 1278 and I came out at 1430 on the second half. So it's
good.
not a bad trade. So it's a great trade.
No, that's pretty good.
But yeah, I mean, I'd seen it get up to that into the 1440 area. It started to consolidate, and I just took that decision to say, okay, I've had a great run here. I still want to be a buyer. I own physical, but this was on a trade basis. I'm going to come out and look for the next retracement. And of course, what happened? It goes up to 1,500. So we can't. Sometimes you just get too clever for your own good. And of course, I could have. Okay, so here's a point. Gold could from here go up to maybe 1,600. And then still do a retracement, because I want to be in gold on the next trade for another run of 200 to 300 points. So because I see gold attacking those 1900 highs from back in 2011. So I don't mind if it races away a little bit, because at some point it will do a retracement, a reversion to the mean. And when it pulls back, it'll probably be back down at 1400 or so again. So I just have to be patient. So I've been here so many times over the years. You think, oh, it's running away from me, unless it goes completely parabolic and it doesn't look back and doesn't do a single retracement, in which case I wouldn't get in. But if it does do a retracement, I just got to be a bit patient, and then I'll still get an opportunity at some point. May take me a few months now, but that's okay, because even if I was in here and I enjoy the ride to 1600, I wouldn't have bailed, wouldn't have come out and banked a profit, and then I've still got to then sit through that retracement anyway. So I still think it will probably come back for me at some point. But at the moment, I'm sitting here thinking, oh, hopefully it does. I'm sure it will.
So you're of the opinion that gold may actually retest the 2011 highs of 1800, 1900?
I am, yes. I don't think that
Okay.
from a sentiment perspective, I don't think that we have the same frothy sentiment towards gold that we had back in 2011, 12. And on the back of that bull market, because that bull market had run for many years, that we had a lot of people who were very ultra bullish on gold at that point. And that's why I remember you and I doing that webinar back in 2012, discussing all of this and the sentiment there. But I don't think we're in the same stage now. So I think that allows the market to continue to run. So yeah, I'm a big bull on it, and also not just because of sentiment. I'm bullish on it based on some of the macro factors out there as well. The global economy and things that are going on with trade wars and all that as well. So I think that people are starting to see that, oh, hold on a second, this is a source of safety, a bit like putting money into other places like the yen and Switzerland, and so people are put in there, and we've seen a lot of European central banks stop selling their gold reserves as well. So all these things sort of help with the fundamental backdrop as well. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish on gold.